Yes, good evening. Welcome back to Spurs Unleashed. We've been away for 3 or 4 weeks, but we are back. And tonight we have got Stel in the house. We've got Lee, Enigma 27 in the house. Hass will be joining us. Iggy's in the San Siro. Will is on the road doing the work thing. But we're going to be talking about football. So first and foremost, Stel, Lee, how are you boys? You good?
Very good. Thanks, Sav. Lovely to be here.
Good. Yeah, good. Welcome. Stel, you good?
Yeah, good to have the show back.
Yeah. It looks like you've had a fresh trim. Looks like you've had a shave.
Yeah. Completely bald. Yeah, it's all gone.
Yeah, good. Like it. Listen, everybody in the chat, welcome to whoever's here. As you know, the rules, smash the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please get over and subscribe to Tottenham Away as well. Today, guys, we're going to talk about 3 or 4 different subjects. The first one is going to be about Stel's favourite player, Timo Werner, is going to be the first player we're discussing. And are we going to buy him or not amid a lot of reports that Leipzig are expecting us to? We're then going to be talking about, are Spurs playing good football? It's a topic of conversation off the back of a few shows I've been on that I wanted to discuss. What's wrong with Bentancur is going to be the third topic that we discuss. And then to round it all off, another of Stel's favourite all-time Spurs strikers. Does Richarlison deserve more credit? So we'll get straight into it, guys. Let me start with you, Lee. Timo Werner is... we took him on loan after lots of talk leading up to the transfer window of Spurs need a forward stroke winger. Lots of names were bandied about and lots of fans had an idea of who they want it to be. Then it was Timo Werner, and half the fan base, typical Spurs, half the fan base, people like me and Stel, went, oh my God, what are we doing? Timo Werner. And the other half went, oh, well, we can't do better. This is a no-risk signing. He's going to be good. Give him time. He's great if we get him back from what he was at Leipzig. Where do you stand on the whole Leipzig are expecting Spurs to sign Timo Werner on a permanent basis? Should we do it?
For me, no.
Yes.
Because I think in the summer our aspirations should be to get 2 wide attacking players, wingers, whatever you want to call them in this system, to bolster those positions. And I don't think he's the answer. I think he was a signing that was there, able to happen in January. That we could use, because we were going to be and were a bit short on the left, given that Son was going to go to the AFCON the Asian Cup, and Solomon's out, and at some point we were having Richarlison play there. So I think it was not a good signing, but it was something that we could there to plug a gap. Now, the whole talk about him being signed, if we've got any ambition to put good players in these positions, then I can't see why be signed, because we've already got players that can, play in that position. And if, we are going to look for a striker in the summer, then you would think naturally Son is going to then go back to his position. You've then got Solomon, who I think personally, from what I've seen of both of those guys play, is a better player in that position in terms of, I can't sit in front of my telly anymore and shout, just take the man on, Timo, just take the man on, because it's every match. I think Solomon's better. So for me, when Solomon's fit, he goes ahead of Timo. So I can't see why we would sign him. I really don't, and take that wage onto the books. And I know it's not a massive fee, but I think we've got, if we buy a striker, we've got Son that going to play in that position. We've got Solomon as backup. I don't think we need him, honestly, at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Stel, you and I were both very vocal when this signing happened, that it was typical Spurs, but a lot of people really did seem to like it. I'll come at it from another tact with yourself. How do you think he's done? I believe, if I'm not wrong, I think he's now played 5 games for Spurs. If I'm not wrong, I want to say 5. We'll go 5. He's got a couple of assists, but I mean, assist, 5-yard pass. I mean, one of the same sometimes. How do you think he's done so far?
So I ran a poll across all the social media platforms Tottenham Away's on, and I said, Werner plays in a front three for Spurs, and he's played every game ever since he's arrived in January. He's scored 0 goals. Spurs signed Timo Werner on a permanent deal. How would you view this? And there was 3 options. It's a sign of ambition, meh, same old, or regression. Right? And on YouTube and on Twitter, the majority of fans said, meh, same old. And for me, I agree. I don't think it's a regression because I don't think he's crap. But if we want to win silverware, we want to challenge City, Liverpool, Arsenal, a Man United that looks like they might be getting their act together on the football pitch. Newcastle, that's the richest club in the world if you look at the owners, not FFP. Teams that are up and coming like Brighton and Villa and basically the top 8-9 teams. Timo Werner's not the answer. He didn't show up against Everton away. He missed every chance he was given against Man United away. Against Man City in the FA Cup, non-existent. Against Brighton, he got pulled off. What has he done? He's come to Spurs. He made a 5-yard pass to Bentancur, who then did all the hard work, beat a man and scored against Man United. He put in a good cross. It was a good cross against Brentford for us to score. But if he's come here for a 5-yard pass to Bentancur and 1 good cross that led to a goal in 5 games, I don't understand. There's a reason nobody else in Europe did whatever they could to get him at their club. There's a reason that, and this should have been a big red flag to anyone at Spurs who does recruitment. The fact he's gone back to the club that got rid of him in the first place tells you this is a red flag, right? Because nobody else wanted him. He's then sat there and not done too much. Look, what's the point of keeping Brian Hill? What's the point of bringing in Solomon on a free, who's going to be back from injury soon? What's the point of these players if you're going to bring in Timo Werner on a permanent deal? It makes no sense to me. I don't think he's rubbish, but he's nothing more than a player. He's the German Danjuma. He's the German Danjuma. That's what I look at him.
Well, with that in mind, I mean, look, I'm not going to just pick on this comment, but for example, this is the sort of comment you get, Lee. It's give him a chance, then judge. But Lee, we're not talking about a 20-year-old kid. Yeah, right. Yeah, we're talking about a grown man that has played football in Europe for years and years and years. We've all seen him play. Why have we still got certain portions of the fan base that still want to see players like this signed permanently? What is it about a Timo Werner? Is it pace? Is it the goal scoring record from his first stint? What is it? What is it about him then that people like?
It's not about the fact that I don't like him. I don't think we should sign him in that sense. It's the sense that we have players of his ilk that are not costing us anything because they're either injured and they're due to come back, or there's a player that, if we're going to, is going to fall into that position. So we're buying him for the sake of buying him, which could save us 15 or 16 million that could go towards, buying in a proper next level of class over Timo. Again, like Stel said, I don't think he's crap. We can see that he can play, he could be on fire, but that player is years ago. He hasn't shown that at Chelsea. He's gone right down the pecking order at where he was, and now he's come here, and we thought hopefully you would have thought within 5 games he would show some of the class that he has, but all he's shown us is that he's afraid to go past the player. The speed that he supposedly has, he's not using it. And when he does have a shot on goal, I love this because we went through this on one of the games. I don't think he's managed to put a single half chance on target. That's the Timo of Chelsea. That's the one we all sat there and said, we'd watch a Chelsea game, Timo Werner would get the ball, and everyone, there'd be no it's all right, Timo's got the ball. That ain't going in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the kind of player we seem to have got. And I can see that after 5 games. I don't need any longer unless he almost gets a kick up the arse and someone says to him, right, you're not playing anymore unless you start doing, what you used to do. Then it's the same old Tino. For me. So what's the point of paying the money?
Yeah, I agree. And I think the key thing for me here, Stel, is it's not that like you guys, it's not that I look at him and go, oh my God, you're useless. I just look at him as another winger that we've bought that I go, meh. Do you know what I mean? Like another one where you go, oh, Spurs have signed so-and-so. And I go, oh, all right. Same with Brennan Johnson, same with Solomon, even if I'm honest, same with when we play Kulu on the wing. I just feel like you've spent 50 million on Brennan Johnson. If you're going to put 15 million onto Timo Werner, think what you could have got for 65 million as a winger. You know, Kudos went to West Ham for cheaper than Brennan Johnson. Cole Palmer, who's got something like 15 or 16 goal contributions already for Chelsea, is younger and cheaper than those players. So is that the frustration still, that it's always quantity over quality in those attacking areas?
My frustration is with our fans, Savva, because I'm seeing it in the comments now. He's better than Brian Gill. I mean, talk about the bottom of the bottom. That's like saying Clement Longley, good signing because he's better than Eric Dyer. Like,
right, yeah,
look at the levels we're operating at. You know, how's about let's sign Pedro Neto because he's on the level of Heung-min Son? How's about saying let's sign Kvaratskhelia because he's on the levels of James Maddison? Instead, let's pick the worst player in the club and use that as the benchmark and say he's better than Brian Hill. Great. So because Brian Hill's a 3 out of 10 and Werner's a 4 out of 10, makes sense, doesn't it? They're still bad. It's just look, I don't want to be rude, Savva, but I'll say this on my channel. One's a turd, one's diarrhea, one's constipation. They're all shit. It's just different types of it.
Just
right?
different types. Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm not saying Werner is shit though. I'm just saying these are average players that don't take us forward. And I remember when we signed him, people saying he's low risk. And I said, well, if he costs us games, that's high risk because he's not the reason, but he's part of the reason we didn't beat Man City in the FA Cup. He's part of the reason we didn't beat Everton. He's part of the reason that we nearly lost to Brighton, right? That is not low risk. That is high risk. Now, if he's turning up and scoring goals, assisting, and you think, do you know what? He's really contributing to the team. This is a really good signing. I'd say it, but he hasn't done it so far. And I knew he wasn't going to do it. And he's not going to do it because the last 4 years tells you that. And if you listen to Chelsea fans, because guess what? Timo Werner played for them. They all said to us, I can't believe you're signing him. This is why we got rid of him. They said the same thing to Arsenal fans about Kai Havertz. They said, I can't believe you spent 65 million on Kai Havertz. Yeah. And do you know what? They've been right. Isn't it funny when a player's at your club and you spend 2-3 years watching them, you know a thing or two about them, but we don't listen to that. Instead, we've done it again where we've signed some really, really good players. We did this under Poch. Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, Wanyama, Moussa Dembele, thinking this is really, really good. And then you add Nkudu, Ndi, Aurier, and it all falls apart. We've done it again. Carlos Vicario, Van der Ven, Maddison, Udogie, really good signings. And then you say, right, there's Brennan, there's Chicken Royale, there's Timo. It's like, hold on, now you're dropping us here. And my concern is if we sign him, it's just going to be the same old I've seen for the last 3-4 years. He's here for now. I hope he scores. I hope he proves me wrong, whatever. But if we sign Timo Werner as part of a long-term squad strategy, this club's not going anywhere, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, Hass, welcome to the show. How are you, my man? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Very good, thanks. Good to be here with you guys, Savva, Lee, Stel. Nice to have the show back, to be honest, after a little hiatus. But yeah, I'm good.
Good. Let me chuck you straight in. We're talking Timo Werner. It's another player that split the fan base. You know, that's how, for me, I always judge whether a player's good enough or not. If a player is truly good enough, I don't believe he splits a fan base. I don't see anyone debating whether or not James Maddison should play for Tottenham Hotspur. Right? I don't see anyone debating whether or not Mickey van der Ven should play at centre-half for Spurs. Timo Werner, what are your thoughts on him so far? Should Spurs sign him permanently in the summer?
Look, I think I don't think we should sign him. I'll just say that straight up. I don't think he's the right fit for us at the moment. He's a player that's sort of devoid of any sort of confidence. You know, he's not the player that, you know, Chelsea bought from RB Leipzig, who was scoring for fun in Germany. That player is unfortunately no more. But I just think we're doing things on the cheap again. You know, there's a reason why this guy, you know, he hasn't been touted around to any other top European clubs in the top 6. Spurs have picked him up because we've gone under the guise of we need a stopgap. You know, Son's at the Asia Cup, this, that, and the other, and we brought him in. And initially, it sort of started off with, well, you know, he's good cover until Son gets back. But now we're talking about, well, in the summertime, looks like we're gonna purchase him for a cut price deal. For me, it sort of smells like the Danjuma deal. Although I know Danjuma didn't play as many games, but in the sense that it was very underwhelming. You know, we could have done a lot better than Danjuma. Arguably, he didn't get much game time, but you know, it seems like it's a spin cycle with Spurs, isn't it? I mean, if we are to be taken seriously, we need to be looking at players who are in their pomp, who are in their prime, who are ready to go, not players who are sort of shot of confidence. Journeyman players who are going around from club to club trying to find their feet. For me, that's not, you know, that's not what we should be looking at. And I'm sure you guys would agree with me as well. You know, we can't be taking on players who, you know, players that was once, you know, cutting the mustard, but now trying to sort of find their feet. I don't think it's the route that we should be going down. And again, it stinks of, well, we'll do something on the cheap and you know, it's same old, you know, it's Tottenham on a spin cycle again. We've been here before. We you know, we've said, oh, I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he starts scoring. And it's always that word, I hope. It's never, I can't wait to see him do this. I can't wait to see him do that. It's always, I hope he does this. I hope he does that. The writing was on the wall when he was at Chelsea. You know, it feels like we're sort of, you know, taking on Chelsea's scraps. You know, they got rid of him. He's gone to RB Leipzig. Again, he hasn't performed and we've taken him on. How much of it is down to Ange is anyone's guess. I don't know. But one thing that is good at Tottenham Hotspur, one thing that Tottenham Hotspur are good at is PR. Okay, they are very good at PR. You know, they're very good at convincing people that this is the player we should go for. This is the reason we've done X, Y, Z. So, you know, we'll see come July.
I mean, look, I don't want to go around in a circle. Just chime in as and when you see fit, guys. For me, is this another case of, look, you know, I mean, I, for one, certainly took a lot of stick earlier in the season when I was very adamant that Spurs wouldn't win a league or be anywhere near the league title. And I've said, look, you know, I think like most people know deep down, to win a title, you need quality. We talk about winning competitions, guys. We talk about quality. We talk about competing with Arsenal, with Liverpool, Man City. And I always look and go, would those teams buy the players we're buying? That's why when I look at Werner, when I look at Brennan Johnson and Solomon, I don't see Liverpool. I don't see City. I don't see them picking these players up. So how does that gap ever get closed when the attacking players that we're buying to accompany Son, who is class, how do we close that gap when we're constantly just evolved in this cycle of average player after average player after average player?
Well, you've got to hope that in the summer we show the ambition like apparently we are with Mr. Frankie, which is absolute rubbish, that we are going to look for that next level of player, right? I mean, if we turn around in the summer and you know, we're saying we're not signing him, but we've put in bids for Eze, Neto, some of that player, some of that ilk, or someone from, you know, European league that is doing it for their club, and we're putting in serious bids and serious money in them for them. That's showing ambition. If we're just going to sit on our hands and go, actually, we're not going to do that because, you know, we'll just drop 15 million on Timo Werner, or actually we'll try and get him for 8 because he hasn't really done anything, so we'll try and get him for half price or something. There's no ambition there. So, yeah, if that happens, then nothing's changing. If we don't get him, we don't want him, and we're going for other players of the next level, then maybe things are changing. Maybe things are changing.
Lee, don't you think it's a bit like, playing darts with a blindfold on and hoping you'll hit the 20? It's a bit like, let's hope for the best. Let's bring him in and hope that he comes good. It's always the case. It's never.
Well, yeah, when you got him on a loan, you got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, but we're talking about now buying the player. This is what I mean.
No.
I don't have an issue with, okay, we loaned him and he's going to go back and he's done his job. He's filled in for Son. If it comes good, it comes good. But to actually buy him on what we're seeing at the moment, is he providing enough? His little assists here and there, he needs to be doing more, and I think we should be doing more to attract better players, Yeah,
no, absolutely.
There's this whole talk of, we're looking at stats, we're looking at a more measured approach to buying players that, suit Angie's system and everything else. Where's that gone all of a sudden? Where has that gone? All of a sudden, someone's popped up on a free transfer. And it's like, yep, we'll take him straight away. So for me, I think we've got to do more as a football club. But look, everyone's going to say it's Andrew's first year. Everyone's going to say let's give him time. But we've been here before. Myself, Stel, Savva, yourself, Lee. We've seen it time and time again, and this is the reason why people call it negative. People say you're being negative, but until anything actually changes, right? We're always going to look over our shoulders thinking, well, no, actually, I'll give it a year and it's going to be exactly like the Mourinho scenario, the Conte scenario, the Poch scenario. It's going to be exactly like that, and
it's negative. It's negative to want average players at a club and then claim that we're a big six club and that trophies are coming, right? I've seen a number of people in the chat tonight say, oh, come on, Werner puts in good crosses. Lee, that's not true. I've been quiet for the last 5 minutes because I've actually gone and looked at all the stats on this on FB Ref, which is the best place we as average non-experts are going to find statistical analysis on. On average at Spurs, Timo Werner, crossing a ball that reaches a Spurs player, 1 in 6 crosses. That is less than a 20% success rate on crosses. So those of you in the chat who are saying to Lee, no, Lee, I've seen Timo, he puts in good crosses. No, you haven't. 1 in 6. That's about, what's that, 17%, 18% success rate? That is diabolical. And he's the attacking wide player.
But can I say,
Brennan Johnson's actually got better outcomes crossing from the wide area than Timo. And we'll get into Brennan later, but that just goes to show that fans say something that isn't true. And then because they believe their false narrative, they then think, yeah, sign Timo. For what?
Can I just ask? I mean, like Bobby, big up to you. He's always in the chat. I just don't understand this narrative, right? Like this, we need to build a squad, yes. But my point is, you build a good squad. Like it shouldn't just be you offload Hill, you bring in Timo Werner. And by the way, it's not about calming down. I don't think anyone's angry. I mean, I haven't seen anyone lose their mind or anything. Everyone's just talking about it. When you say we're chatting waffle, listen, I keep being told, I keep being told every year, this is the year we're winning something. Spurs are different. It's different under Ange. It's different. We're doing this, we're doing that. But then when I say, okay, cool, let's get some quality players. No, you don't need quality players. You get Timo Werner. It's like, what? Oh, you got Brennan Johnson. I can't understand this, guys, where, and again, I say this, the reason I picked Liverpool and City from the example I gave just now and didn't give the example of Arsenal is because Arsenal haven't won anything of note. Arsenal have won a few cups going back, 4 years ago and before that. But in the last 5-10 years, Liverpool have won the league, the Champions League, the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Super Cup. City have won everything. They don't sign players like Timo Werner. And if they do, they get rid of them very, very quickly. So what do we want? Lee, I'll ask you, what do we want to be? Like, why have we got people that go, yeah, I think he could come good. Why are we? I don't get why we're not striving for better.
But surely the people that say that must be in the position where they're just accepting mediocre players, right? I mean, I don't see looking forward at next year, same as I do with the boys that I coach, the football boys that I coach. You know, I look at what we need next year to go on to the next level in the age group and the brackets and stuff like that. And it's the same case. It's just like, next year, what do I want to achieve? Right. I want to be better than I was this year. How do I get there? What do I need to achieve that? Well, I need X, Y, and Z. Do I have that in the current group that I've got? No, we're weak here, but if we're just happy and satisfied to accept, well, we can't strengthen in those areas, but we'll just deal with what we've got, then the ambition isn't there to actually progress any further. And I think we're in the Bermuda Triangle as a club. We don't want to get out and get there, but we're just happy to stay where we are and hope we get rescued or something of that nature. It's a really weird situation at the moment.
But don't you think, Lee, at the moment, don't you think that is because people sort of say, we don't need this, we don't need that, because they're now relying on, oh, Ange can make this happen. Ange can work with whoever. So now people are...
Like he's an oracle.
But when is that ever said? When's that ever come out and Ange just sat there and said, I can do anything with any player? No,
it hasn't.
Ange just said, I've got a system, and this is the way I play football. I bring him, I use players that can play in it. And this is exactly why I've said, since the likes of, Romero have been out, Bissouma's been out, Bentancur's been out, the difference between the beginning of the season and the middle of the season, where we had all those issues, wasn't Ange's system. He was playing with the players he had. And you could see, and we talked about this on our channel about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the progression from defence to midfield to attack, when you've got the players that that can do that, and you've got the players that when they move into a position, you've got another player that covers him and moving around the pitch, it works, right? And we see flashes of that at the beginning of the season, especially against Arsenal, when they were pressuring us, we were passing it around, and maybe we didn't have much possession, but we were passing it around calmly, going through the lines, etc. And we were doing that. When you've got the likes of Højbjerg, Skip, Timo Werner, who gets the ball, and instead of using his abilities, his speed to go past players, etc., and all he does is stop, turn around and pass the ball backwards, that's not how we want to play. So
could I, Lee, if Ange has done such a great job developing players, for example, everyone was saying what a brilliant job Ben Davies and Emerson Royale have done. Look how they've played under a proper coach, and why have they been dropped for the last 4 games?
Because they're not as good as the players that are in there in his squad.
But they've developed into brilliant players. And we can do that with everyone. But as soon as someone of quality comes, they're all dropped because they've developed so much. It's a fallacy. It's an absolute con. It's because we thought that as soon as Van der Ven, Maddison, and these players got injured, we thought that's it. We're just going to get battered until they all come back. But somehow we got through it. And because of that now, they're all brilliant. It's not how it works.
Well, look, let's move away from Timo Werner. By the way, please do smash the like button if you haven't already. Really tight on the likes today. It's almost like Werner conversions on crosses. 87 likes. There's nearly 330 of you in here, and we're going up by the minute. Please subscribe as well to everyone else that's on the panel. Their links are in the bio, so please do subscribe. Guys, I want to start with you, Haz, on this. And by the way, please do subscribe. It would be absolutely great. I've seen a number of debates this week. They've been starting to creep in for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I was saying this a few months ago. The debates are Spurs playing good football? Has. Now, what that might mean to you might be different to what it means to me and to everyone in the chat. But in your mind, are Tottenham Hotspur playing good football? Because we keep being credited from pundits and rival fans playing good football. But I just want to understand from your point of view and the others on the panel, are we?
You see, I think we're playing risky football. Mm-hmm. And Ange's system is all about risk and reward. And that makes it more fun for the common sort of spectator watching the game. It's like, oh, right, now they're pressing, but, anything can happen at any moment. We're pressuring for the ball. You know, players are playing sort of 100 miles per hour, but is it really sustainable? I'm looking at it at the moment and thinking it's a bit reckless. And watching it as a Tottenham fan, it's really frustrating more than sort of exciting, if you know what I mean.
Right.
If you're watching it as a fan from any other club, you're thinking, woof, yeah, we're in for a game here today, because Spurs could concede 2 or 3, but then they could go and score 2 or 3 as well. So for the neutral, it's entertaining football. Hence why we're getting a lot of people now. I believe you mentioned a couple of names earlier on in the show, Savva, who said that Tottenham are playing great football. But I believe that's the reason. You know, for the neutral, I think it looks great. But as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, you want a bit more control in the game. You want a bit more sort of, you want to take it like a game by game basis where, you know, if you're playing against the likes of City, which previously when we've played them, we've sort of played on a counter, and we've had some success at home against City, but now it's like almost, you know, City can cut through us at will. You know, I just think that we should have more in-game tactics. You know, we should be more prepared against certain teams. But now it's like we're playing this way, and that's how we're going to play. It doesn't matter who the opposition is. And for me, it's just a bit frustrating. Yes, it can be a bit exciting at times. It can be a bit, you know, unpredictable. But it's the word that, you know, I would use is frustrating. It's every time we've watched the match together as well, Savva, it's like,
it's
what are we doing? You know, is there, you know, it's so deconstructed the way that we're playing football. There's no flow. You know, what we're trying to do is there. You know, you can see what they're trying to do, but we just haven't got the personnel to do what we want to do. You know, City, if you look at City as an example, they have the personnel to be playing that high pressure football, pressing for the ball, you know, really pinning their opposition back with the ball. We can do it, but we just haven't got the right personnel at the moment. And that, again, that comes down to bringing quality players in, players that can actually play certain roles. But in a nutshell, Savva, I won't go on too long. I just think it's just really frustrating for me. It's not that, you know, we're not playing an exciting brand of football. It's just that for me, it's Spurs are really unpredictable. You don't know what Spurs you're going to get from week to week. You know, we have games from half to half, if you know what I mean. You know, first half, we can come out and have an absolute barnstormer. And in the second half, we'll have a brain fart in the last 20-25 minutes or the whole of the second half, and vice versa. You know, we might have a really crap first half, and the second half will actually come out and play a bit. I haven't watched a game this season where for the full 90 minutes I thought we were in control of that game and we absolutely deserved to win it. You know, even in the games where we scored 3-4 goals, even I include Burnley in that as well, I thought to myself, do you know what? We could do something at any moment here and allow the opposition back into the game. There's always that feeling that, you know, we could allow the opposition back in the game. And it's never been comfortable this season for me. And, you know, maybe that's going to come with time. Maybe, you know, certain changes in personnel, it might come in time. But for me, it's been really uncomfortable and frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, Lee, let me get your take on this, because I'll tell you where I am, Lee. I think Spurs play well in patches. I think we're a team that has 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. But since the Newcastle game, I just feel like we've been very, very, and I think I agree with Haas. I feel like we're very entertaining. We're good to watch for the neutral. So when neutrals watch our game and it's end to end, I just feel we are so wide open in every game. It concerns me. But what do you make of it?
So the media, in terms of the way that they're expressing their opinion of Tottenham at the moment, I think is more to do with the entertainment of the match rather than the entertainment of how Spurs play. Every time we play, always something happens, last minute goals, loads of goals in the game or something of that nature. It's entertaining for people to watch. And as you say, for the neutrals, for us fans, it's frustrating. And I agree with you that there have been, I mean, even in the first 10 games of the season, right? We never expected to be where we were. I don't necessarily think we played that well in most of those 10 games, but there were certainly flashes and there were certainly moments where you could see what the way Ange wanted to play, they were starting to tick, and it was lovely looking football. The minute we got injury, suspensions, blah, 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 brought other players in that have had to play multiple games, which, in my opinion, still can't play that system. Too much passing it off, not enough people taking the ball, taking it around, a player like a bissouma and stuff like that. That's when it breaks down, and that's when you have to revert to a different way of playing. And that's, I think, what we're seeing. But we do every now and again come back into, as you say, patches where we do put that together and it looks great. We're just not consistent enough with it. Personally, for me, and I'll say one thing as well, the reason why everyone's worried about this high line, there's plenty of other teams. City play pretty high line. The difference between us and them is they've got the people and they've got the manpower to hold the ball and keep control of the ball in the middle of the park. A lot of the time when we're caught out, it's because we're losing it stupidly there, or I'm going to say it, for all of his doing good, Richarlison scoring 8 goals in 7 games or whatever, one thing that he does do a lot is that he'll hold the ball up and make a stupid pass, and he's really bad at like 5, 6, 7, 10-yard passes, and he'll pass it to him. As soon as we lose it there, that's when the turnover comes, and that's when we look fragile, because they're turning it over and we're so high up. When you've got the players that can control the ball in the middle, and maybe we're losing it out on the wings or we're losing it higher up the pitch, you don't get that turnover as much. But we're losing it too much in the midfield. Now, for me, I think our next game, if we set up how I think we're going to set up, I think that will be our first look at what was potentially there at the beginning of the season. So I think if Bissouma comes back into his role and he's on form, because he has dropped off a little bit, Papsar and Madders in that midfield, I think we'll see a little bit more of what was ticking over at the beginning of the season than what we've had to deal with when we've had Skip in there, Højbjerg, and off Bentancur. You know, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm looking forward to. But we've been very patchy, and I still don't think we've clicked yet. And I honestly don't think we should be looking at that more until next season, because I think there's still some chains in the link that are missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, still, I wanted to ask you. Look, we've had Van der Ven, Romero, Bentancur, Maddison. These guys have been back a while now. And this was the whole reason I was told by people that, you know, that the football's dropped off because those players are back. We still look very fragile. We're still, I believe, I saw a stat the other day to say that we're actually conceding the exact same amount of goals per minute as we were when those players weren't playing. What's not ticking at the moment for you? I'm not saying, listen, by the way, I think what we've got to do, just really, really quickly, sorry, I'm going to interrupt myself here still. I think when people in the chat, no one's having a go at Spurs. What we're just saying is just, it's not all sunshine and roses. We're all happy with where we are in the league. I speak for everyone in the panel, I hope. When I'm saying we're all happy with fourth, you know, we would have bitten your hand off for that. We're just talking about the game play, right? So still, in your, what's not clicking for you at the moment, and how well do you think we're playing?
Yeah, it's a great question, you know, because there's not a simple answer here.
Of course.
For me, this is, I'm not going to use the word transition. This is the first season of a new manager after 4 years of pain, tough to watch football, fans turning against the ownership, players downing tools. The last 4 years have been nothing short of a disgrace. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So for Ange to come in and make us this beautiful free-flowing team in a season is never going to happen. The fact that we've had some games where you think that's really good, we've had moments of 15, 20, maybe 30-minute patches where you think, oh, that's good. That's step one. We're not going to get the football we want until we get the quality of players that can play this football. Effectively, we're trying to play like Man City, but we've got players that belong at Luton Town, Sheffield, some from Tottenham, maybe some from above, Liverpool and City. But City only have players that belong at City. We've got players that belong from across the league at a club that's trying to play like City. So if at the start of the season, people were saying he's naive, high line. Then it became Spurs go gun-ho too quick and run out of steam. So there's always a different reason as to why things aren't ticking. For me at the moment, if I just look at the Brighton game, there's 3 problems with the Brighton game. We won, but the performance we're talking about. First of all, if a team presses you, to beat the press, you've got to move the ball quick. 1-touch football, 2-touch max. Don't let the press engage with the person on the ball. If you slow down playing out from the back or you take more than 2 touches, that's when it goes wrong. Then the ball gets forced back to Vicario. He punts it. We lose possession and they come on to us. That was the first problem, not playing quickly at the back. The second problem is when the ball gets played to the edge of the box, the number 6 needs to be able to turn and beat the man behind him, because if you're the goalie, I'm facing you, I receive it, check, beat the man that's coming in behind me. The only player that can do that is Bissouma. But if Bissouma's just come back from AFCON, he's on the bench, and Bissouma's not been in good form, then what do you do?
Yeah.
Well, you then look to maybe Bentancur, who's shown that he can do it. He's just come back from injury. He wasn't playing in that role. So what you saw against Brighton was Maddison dropped into the 6 second half to receive and turn, and he did it time and time and time again. As soon as Maddison dropped deep to turn on the ball, edge of the box, it worked. But the problem now is, this is problem number 2, there's no creative player in the number 10. So we've lost the creativity up top because Maddison's had to go in the 6. And the third problem is you've got 2 wide players that simply do not cut the mustard for this system. Timo is not good enough for this system. I'll say it time and time again. He might have 1 good game and 2 bad games. I don't think we should have pulled Coglou off. I think Coglou, he plays the through ball to Sarr. Sarr scores. Kulu's now growing in the game. Keep him on another 10 minutes. We pull him off. On comes Brennan Johnson, gives you 30 minutes of absolute rubbish. Okay, he scored the winner back post. Tap in, well done. But when you put those 3 things together, that's what went wrong in the performance against Brighton. But that's different to highline, naive, running out of steam. It's almost like every week we've got a different type of issue. Some issues are similar. I just think it comes down to one thing. If you want to play Man City football, which is what we're trying to do, you need 16 to 18 very good technical players that play quick and make good decisions quickly. We don't have that. We just don't have it. When the starting 11 are all fit and they're all giving you a 9 out of 10 performance, yeah. But how many times is that going to happen? I think it's happened twice all season. So we need a big summer. If we don't have a big summer window of bringing in 5 or 6 really, really good technical players, it's going to be like this again next season. And I think that's what it is at the moment.
Can I just say what is I'm finding hilarious is everyone's just having a calm chat about how we're playing at the moment, etc. Everyone gets so offended. It's like we're not doing bad. No one said we're doing bad. We're fourth. I know we're fourth. Everyone needs to relax. We're just having a chat about. Listen, we put on a YouTube show for you guys, right? We need to find topics to discuss, right? We can't just sit here and just go, everything's brilliant. Otherwise, it's pointless. There's nothing to discuss. You guys all tune in to watch us talk about football, then complain when we talk about football. Now, I just want to bring up one comment, so I've got to. This guy, first and foremost, to lie and say that I gushed over Conte's crap football. I mean, Stel, how many rows did you and I have about Conte, right? You know.
The amount of times I defended Conte and Savva was like, no, turgid.
Right.
Turgid. He kept saying turgid.
And the thing is, Neil, no one listen. When you say football that excites fans, it depends what fan. I watched Brighton. That wasn't exciting. That was scary. It was scary how much of the football I thought Brighton actually had and how many times they beat our press. No one's complaining. What we're talking about is how do we get to the next level? Everyone needs to relax. It's just a football chat, guys. I'm going to move the conversation on from
Savva.
Yeah, go on.
Can I just say one really good thing about our performances, though, because there is something that constantly happens that is very good. We do not give up until the last final whistle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's trying to cling on to a game, going for the winner. Spurs do not settle for draws. We go for it. And I think that's a big positive. We're not pulling it off as much as we want, but the mentality to try and win a game is there. It's just the execution of the tactic is lacking.
No, I completely agree. I mean, guys, listen, one of the things I think Stel made a really good point there. I'll whoever can start here, I don't care. And I think, Lee, you actually said this at the beginning of the show. We are a team that almost wants to play City-esque in terms of football, but without the players in the midfield that can control a game. So when you watch Man City play, for example, you have got Rodri who controls a game from start to finish. You've got De Bruyne that once you give him the ball, he doesn't give it back to you. We've got good midfielders, in my opinion, guys, but not midfielders that control a game. I think they're more driving midfielders, reactive midfielders. Do you think that for all the talk about we need forwards and we need centre-halves, do you still think that you're going to have to upgrade in that midfield if we want to be a team that plays this kind of gung-ho style without leaving too many gaps at the back? Do we need to get some more midfield creators like a Zubimendi, players that can get on the ball, hold on to the ball, slow it down, and sorry, not create, but like kind of like the deep lying playmaker, as opposed to what we're seeing now?
I think that position is probably one of the most important positions, right? Because it's your transition from defense to attack. If you want to get that ball from playing out from the back and then having someone control it and can then look for the forward pass, you need that kind of confidence. You need that player that can take it. Example, if you took Bissouma out of that role right now and you stuck a Moussa Dembele in there, right? We would be a completely different team. We would be a team that would be just be pushing forward. He would, he's creating that, taking that player out of that situation and take it past them rather than just defending off a pass left or right and then progressing forward. Almost pulls the team apart because they've then got, well, hold on, he's progressing forward. Do I go to him? Do I then leave the man here? Do I leave Madders free? And it opens up the options, which is what we don't do right now. I think Bissouma's got the potential to be that player, but he's just been a little bit, we saw it at the beginning of the season, we saw flashes of that, but all of a sudden he sort of dropped off a little bit. So it's a case of asking yourself, is he consistent enough, or do we need to go and find someone else in that position? Because I think we've got a gem in Papistar as like a number 8. I think Madders is Madders. I mean, the only problem with him is injuries, really. But I think that's probably one of the more pivotal roles because it stitches your defence and your attack together, especially if you're wanting to play it through the lines, which is what he seems to want to do. So I think you've got to ask yourself, do we need to strengthen there? Do we need someone of, I'm not going to say it, Frankie de Jong or someone like that? I know that's not going to happen.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I had to say it. But you've got to be thinking it's that kind of level that if we're ambitious next season, we've got to look at. Maybe not as ambitious as that, but you've got to, maybe, I don't know, a Frank Kessie or someone said, I think Paulinia as well, someone like that. I think you've got to look in that direction, right? If you want to be ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because listen, whilst I'm not going to pretend that there's any Moussa Dembele's out there, well, not that I know of. I'm not going to pretend that Spurs can attract a Rodri, but if you are going to play this style, if we do not get people that can hold the ball in the middle of the park, we are literally going to be an end-to-end team forever, aren't we? Like, I like our midfielders. I like Sarr. I like Bentancur. I like Maddison. I like Bissouma. But there's not enough control in that midfield for me.
Yeah, I agree. And we saw what happened with the absence of Maddison for a few weeks, with the absence of Bentancur for a few months, let's say. We definitely need someone that can anchor that midfield because too many times in games, we've taken certain players off, opposition have got back into the game. It's quite simply, we can't carry on with the likes of, I don't want to dig out players, but Skip, Højbjerg, we know these players are limited and we know that they don't really sort of fit the way Ange wants to play. We need to be able to have players that can come in second half, 3-1 up, 3-2 up, whatever it is, that can come in and like for like swap for, let's say, a Maddison, like for like swap for Bissouma, whoever it is, because at the end of the day, we are playing high pressing football. We are playing football that's, expending a lot of energy, and you need players that are of the same quality and ilk that can come in and sustain that same level and energy in the closing stages of a game. We don't have that at the moment. That's why we've seen, goals flying in. We've seen nervy endings. I just think there has to be that quality there. Now, it's fantastic. We're 4th in the league. Somehow, we got there. That's mostly, in my opinion, based on the first 10 games. Those points that we accumulated helped us a lot to achieve where we are now. But going forward, I do think in the summertime we seriously need to, you know, and seriously needs to have that conversation to say, look, as much as Skip is sort of one of our own, as much as Højbjerg, etc., we need to talk about moving these players on and bringing in players that can actually do a job for me going forward long term in implementing my philosophy and my plan. So yeah, for me at the moment, we don't have that. We do not have that. Bissouma, for me, very pivotal. I think Sar's ceiling is really high for me. I think he can be, you know, he's not there yet. I'm not going to say he's this almighty great player, Yaya Toure, etc., but his ceiling is really high, and we need to go out and we need to sort of strike whilst the iron's hot and bring these players in. I'm not saying do it all at once, but 100% at the moment you can see in the second half where we're playing. You know, we're bringing in we're bringing in Højbjerg, we're bringing in Skip, we're bringing in, you know, all these players that, you know, you can see like it just doesn't work. We teams are just coming through us through the middle, and yeah, I think we do definitely need someone that can anchor the ship in the second half, especially, and control the game. We've got no control over the game at points.
Yeah, I mean, Stel, I'm going to come at it from a bit of a different angle with you. A lot of people talk about Bentancur as though he's that player. Now, I might piss off a few of the Spurs fans here. I like Bentancur. I think he's a good player. I don't rate him like everyone else does. I don't think he's the guy that can control games and see them out from start to finish. I'm not saying I would get rid of him before everyone goes nuts. I like him. He's a very good footballer. But do we need an upgrade in that area? Do we need somebody that's above that level that can, as has said, second half of games, when we're under attack, just say, right, for the next 15 minutes, do what City do. For 15 minutes, kill it. Take the sting out of the game, keep the ball in the midfield, and just pass the other team to death. Do we need somebody to go in there?
I think Maddison, Bissouma and Bentancur, when they're on form, I think we're okay. The issue is we lack consistency with Bissouma and Bentancur. I don't know what Bissouma and his consistency. Some people blamed it on the sendings offs and the booking. I don't think it's that. Bentancur, look, he's come back from these injuries. Give him a bit of time. I'm sure he'll come good. But
sure.
We definitely
but
need...
is he that guy anyway? Without the injury, still. My point is, because I remember having this conversation with Spurs fans before he got injured, where
Depends where you play him.
He was I thought he was a good player, but for me, again, not consistent. So there'll be games where he runs against the likes of Leeds last year, Leicester, but then other games where you're like, right, you need that guy. Is he that level? Is he league title level that's going to anchor your midfield and control the games?
It depends where you play him, Savva. See, like he's not quite a 6, but he's not quite a 7. He's kind of a mixture of two. You know, Maddison, you can see he's clearly a 10. He is a 10, right? Everything about him says 10, right? When I look at Bissouma and I look at Bentancur, are you a 6? Are you a 7? Are you a bit... Where I would agree with you is we need a player that looks like a 6, that looks like a 7. Like you are that role. Moussa Dembele was that role. You are that role, right?
Yeah.
With Bissouma and Bentancur, I don't know what their best midfield role is. I think they're a hybrid of two roles. So that's why I think you're asking the question of, is he going to control the game? Is he going to boss it? I look at it from a point of view as, I agree with you, yes, but I think it's because he's a hybrid player, not a specific type of player, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's why I said I wouldn't want to get rid of him, guy. I think he's a really good footballer. I just think you need a bloke that goes in there. Like, again, I know we use the Dembele example, but I look at Man City as the best team in the country and in Europe, and you watch how they play, and how many times in a game does Rodri have that football? Doesn't it feel like it's just at his feet all game? Like everything goes through him. He's always available for the ball. He never gives the thing away. What I've noticed, and Lee, I'll come to you on this, what I've noticed is our midfield, whoever's been in it for the last 2-3 months, we can talk about injuries all we like, we seem to give it away for fun. Like, as much as we talk about Pape Sarr's brilliant and Bissouma's brilliant and Bentancur, we give it away really cheaply. Is that something that can be coached into them, or is that just how they are?
When you've got the players of, when we're playing in those kind of positions with the likes of Skip and Højbjerg, where their natural reaction is, I receive the ball in the middle of the park, or off to the right or left of that. You get the players whose mindset is, I'm collecting that ball, I'm going forward, right? That's it. Yeah. My progression is forward. That's where I'm going. I'll take it round and play. Where their thing is, I'm going to be comfortable and I'm going to look. I'm not going to progress forward. I'm not going to take the man on. So all I can do is go backwards or sideways. When you keep playing too many, in all fairness, really, it shouldn't take. And I try and teach this into my boys. It should in our matches, we only do 7 aside at the moment because of the age groups. It shouldn't take more than 4 passes to go from defence to attack and have a shot. Right, we've got all the space in the world right now, and you should still be able to do that in a full match. It shouldn't take more than 4 or 5 passes to go from front to back, right? But the problem is we've got players that are quite comfortable to just go backwards too much. Oh, we'll keep going back. Every time you go back, it brings them onto you, further and further up the pitch for them and further back for us. And the problem is that when you've got players in there that are doing exactly what you're saying, we lose the ball too much. That's when the turnover happens, and that's when we find out that this high line, that they've got, especially if you've got players who've got quick wingers, or like a Rashford or a Neto or something like that, you're going to get exposed.
Right.
That's the problem. And I think, for me, before he got injured, Bentancur could have been one of those players. But one of the things that Bentancur has been exposed for quite a few times this season when he's played is the amount of times that he's come deep to get the ball, and the amount of times that a player's been on him, bang, like that, and he's lost it right in front of our box.
Quickly. Yeah.
He's not quick. He's not making a decision too quick enough. And people are just nicking it off him, or they almost got it off him, and he's sort of got away with one. He's got away with one. We can't do it. They can't have a player that just gets away with one every 5 minutes. It's got to be consistency to it. And you're right. I don't know between Bentancur and Bissouma who the deeper line players should be, if either of them. I think they're too similar, and I think that's why I wouldn't play them 3 together. I would play one of them 2, but with Pape Sarr and Maddison.
Lee, do you know what Bentancur's got that's really good about him though? He's got goals in him. He has got the ability to score goals, whereas Bissouma, I just don't see that. I don't see. He
definitely tries to get in the box, and he's nabbed a couple this season as well, which is that again, that's forward thinking, isn't it? So maybe these guys just need to find their positions.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, guys. I mean, I said the other day what I'd quite like to see, and I don't know how you feel about this. I'll ask everyone in the chat as well. I'll also ask all those people in the chat, as AC Milan have gone 2-0 up, by the way. The only reason I'm watching it is because I know that Iggy is there watching it, and they've just gone 2-0 up. The only reason, the chat, first and foremost, there's over 365 of you in it and only 148 likes. So either you hate our content, which is terrible, but you're still here, or you haven't just pressed that like button. I'll never ask for money. Super chats are great, but I'll never ask for your money. But I do ask for likes and subscribers. Please do smash the like, and please do subscribe to everyone on this panel. Guys, I want to see, I don't know about you, I want to see us go back to that midfield 3 that started the season. I want to go back to Bissouma, Sarr, and Maddison. I felt that in those opening games, before Bissouma started to go off form a little bit, him picking up the ball deep and having the ability on the half turn to drive and beat the press was huge for us. I don't think since he's not been playing, we've seen that. Now, as frustrating as he is, and Stel is right, he is very in and out. When he does that, I don't think anyone else in our team can do that. I think Sarr's very good box to box. I think he's got a great engine. I think Bentancur's got nice passing at times, but I think Bissouma is the key at the moment. I'm just putting it out there to people. What do you think?
Completely agree. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair. Okay, I love that. would you go back to the original 3?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Lee. You'd have to look back at it and agree. You know, original three for me stands out, if I'm being honest.
Stel?
Yeah, this is going to be really boring. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, fair enough. I thought it would be a big discussion point, because I think a lot of it was. Listen, guys, I know Bentancur's coming back from a year-long injury, and I think a lot of people didn't take that into account when they said, "Oh, Bentancur's back," and it'd be like our midfield would just suddenly change overnight. But for me, something's got to change in there. There needs to be an element of control. So I want to move it forward to Wolves this weekend. It's another game. I don't know if you will agree with me. It's another game we should win. We've got to win, right? If you want to be finishing top four, what you can't do is draw with Everton, scrape past Brighton at home, and then not beat Wolves. You've got to win 2 of those 3 games, right? You've got to get 7 out of 9 at least. Wolves are very good on their counter-attack. Is anyone worried about this? Is anyone worried of the way that we play with our fullbacks inverting, that is where Wolves are going to get us? Is this going to be a game we control? What do we want to see? Go.
Pedro Porro, before it starts, you can go first. No, I want you to go first. Just to let everyone know, Pedro Porro and Udogie didn't train today, so they might be out. Just to before you come up with your analysis for this.
Yeah, well, already if that's the case, we're looking at a Royale at left back and a right back consisting of Royale at right back. And whoever's going to come in at left back, I suppose. Ben Davies injured.
No. If this and this, listen, this is where I start judging Ange, right? If he's got any kind of sense, you put Van der Ven in left back and you put Dragusin next to that, because it's got to be better than bringing in an aging Ben Davies in that position.
But Lee, if you put Van der Ven at left back, right, you're rather a team attacks you wide, which is further from the goal, than attack down the middle, which is straight on goal. So by putting Van der Ven in the middle, he's got the recovery down the middle. Like the amount of times he's saved us, if we put him out wide, aren't we opening up the door in the middle? I hear what you're saying, but
who goes left back though?
Well, then put Dragusin at left back.
It'll be Ben Davies, won't it? Have you all seen the video of them training today? I'm sure you've all seen that video. It's showing Spurs training, and it's got the back 4 of Davis, Van der Ven, Romero, and Emerson Royale, and they're training against how to stop the wingers coming in, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know whether I agree with Lee or not, because Van der Ven, the smart thing, I think is Van der Ven goes left back because he can play there, and then you bring in Dragusin, who was our big signing in the window, to play centre half. But then you do lose that ball over the top. If Van der Ven is inverted and high up the pitch, that ball over the top against Romero and Dragusin, that's a big worry of the way we play, isn't it?
And what would you rather see, though? Hold on. What would you rather see? Van der Ven being played out of position against a quick winger, who apparently Van der Ven is one of the quickest players in the Premier League, or an aging Ben Davies who's going to get pulled all over the place?
I agree.
Dragusin's quick as well.
Right,
his recovery.
Okay, all right.
I know he won't do it, Stel, but that's what I would do.
Mate, Ange always throws a curveball.
I don't think he'll do it. I agree, Lee.
I don't think he'll do it.
He'll go back to Royale and Davis. He'll go back to what he knows.
Yeah, right. And especially if you've seen the training videos.
Exactly.
I want to go back to something Iggy said a while back when we were doing a debate, and I agree with Iggy. He said, why take a player who's good in his position out of his position to plug a hole? Put someone else in the hole and keep the good player in his good role. It depends how you look at it. I agree with that. But if you disagree, that's, it's opinions, right? It's like saying, we don't have a number 10. So what we'll do is let's put Lucas Moura up front and Harry Kane, you go in the 10. No, keep Harry Kane as the striker. Don't you think that's the best option here, guys? To keep the best players in their best positions?
I think isn't the worry from this is Pedro Neto, right? Listen, this guy scares the crap out of me.
The one guy that could affect the game. The one guy that could affect the game, and you put an agent Ben Davies against him. I just you're going to what you watch.
Can come over and cover.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but then it leaves a gap in the middle. Leaves a gap in the middle, doesn't it? That's the point. If he's going to be over there.
And apparently old Dragasheen can play right back. Look, it's going to be interesting because the one thing I would say is
he can't attack though.
Well,
he played right back at Genoa. He played some games at right back at Genoa, but he's not going to get up the wing like Porro. No chance.
No, of course, and that's where that's where it's going to be different. But I think the interesting thing about this, guys, is I feel like every time we play a team now, I'm looking at them and going, oh my God, who's their quick players? And it doesn't matter whether it's Luton, Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton. I'm like, oh my God, right, they're going to have loads of the ball. And I feel it again. This weekend. You watch Wolves are so unpredictable. Wolves are either brilliant or they're rubbish, right? A bit like when we played Brighton. They're either brilliant or they're rubbish. My worry again is, though, guys, is that Gary O'Neill's not stupid. I think he's a good coach from what I've seen. I've got a feeling they're just going to keep hitting us again on the way Brighton did. And it's just whether or not Wolves have got goal scorers.
I've got to agree with you. And the thing I'd ask is, will Wolves be worried about us? That's what I'll be asking. Are they going to look at Spurs? Are they going to look at Spurs and think, you know what, they'll put 3 or 4 past us? Or, personally, I think Wolves will get a whole load of chances against us. And that's the similar pattern that we've seen in every game that Spurs has played in this season, is that teams have had so many chances. For me, Wolves on their day are absolutely fantastic and they'll rip you apart. We saw that in quite a few of their games, even the ones that they've lost, like Manchester United. I think where they lost 4-3, was it? Or 3-2. I just think having the left back and right back out is going to cause us problems this weekend.
This will be won. Every match for Tottenham, especially when we talk about this high line, is won in the midfield. Right? Because if they're playing out from the back and they're just pinging 40-yard crossfield balls and stuff like that, we have recovery time to be able to get back at those fast-paced wingers. But if we're losing it in midfield and we're already high up the pitch, that's when the problem starts. So we need to control. If we can control the midfield against Wolves, then we shouldn't have to worry about us being high up the pitch and their wingers getting in, because that's what City does, right? That's exactly what City do. They play a high line. They just don't worry about it because they've got the
because they don't get the ball away
to control it. Exactly. So if we can get to that mindset, then we shouldn't need to worry about it. But the fact that, if their wingers are just getting passes from 40 yards up the pitch and stuff like that, we've got enough recovery time to get back and cover that. But that's the pivotal part. Do we control the midfield? If they turn up and start controlling that midfield and we're still playing at high line, absolutely, I'm worried that their wingers can cause us absolute harm.
I've got a feeling one of them will play, though. I don't reckon both will be out. I feel like we get to the game and we see one of them, if not both of them, start. That's just my feeling.
When we lost to Wolves earlier on in the season, am I right in saying that we had no Heung-min Son that game?
No, I think we did.
I think we had. Hang on, I can find out for you.
Brennan Johnson scored in the 3rd minute, and then they just dominated us. We had bissouma in midfield because
we had. Hold on, Son.
Maddison was missing. Maddison was missing. Wasn't he?
Maddison was missing. Yeah,
that's it.
Because it was the first game after Chelsea, wasn't it? It was the first game after Chelsea. That's right. Yeah.
So we had no Van der Ven, no Maddison. We had no Dogi because Emerson went left back.
Royale was playing left back. Davies was playing centre back, and we had Dyer. So we had Porro, Dyer, Davies, Royale.
We've got a stronger team this time, so that should give us a lot of belief.
Listen, as I said, this is a game we should be winning. These are the games you've got to look at and say, because for me, Everton was 2 massive drop points. That was 2 massively drop points. So then you've got to beat the next 2 home games. You've got to win. And then the fact that Palace are after that. So for me, I think this would be a terrible result to not beat Wolves at home. But I just worry about everyone at the moment. I worry about how open we are at the back, guys. That doesn't matter whether we're playing Colchester or Man City. I worry about how open we are. And I thought Brighton at the weekend, listen, I'm not saying they outplayed us. I thought we had a lot of the ball in our own half, which wasn't really doing anything. But Brighton had chances. They had some really good chances. And my worry is that Wolves have got some better finishers in the likes of Hwang and Neto and Sarabia. I just think we need to be mindful of that.
Hwang's a good player.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sarabia is fantastic. I think he played for PSG before he come over to Wolves. That goal he scored against us when we last played them was fantastic. And I think they're going to cause us problems. They have players that can finish, and they can find the back of the net. But yeah, for me, I just think if you look at, that game, that first game, similarities being that we had Royal at left back, and we had makeshift players. If we have those makeshift players coming back on the weekend, as in, well, Royale's not makeshift, but he hasn't played for a while now. I just think it might cause us problems. The power and strength of Udogie. I don't know. I just think it's going to cause us. It's a game that we should be winning. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
can I be honest with you? You know, Udogie. The last 2-3 games, he's been making some really silly errors that we've been getting away with. I mean, there was the one where he did the pass back against Chelsea. He did something very similar a couple of games ago where he's just given it. That's it. He did it for Tony against Brentford, just passed it straight to him. Udogie, the last couple of 3-4 games, he's been making some silly errors at the back. I know he's young, he's developing, but he's been a little bit suspect. Going forward, he's been half decent, but he's been a little bit suspect.
Are you making a case for Royale sort of staking a claim for left back? I'd put that out there.
Stel's championing it, Emerson Royale to start. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
No, I just think, look, our problem again is been consistency. We've had players missing after those first 10 games. Now all of a sudden, potentially, we've got both left back and right back out again. It's just, I know every team's got their own problems and injuries and stuff, but Wolves, for me, I do think we've got a better midfield than Wolves. I honestly do. That midfield should be controlling the game, especially if we've got Sarr, Maddison, Bentancur, and Bissouma. You look at them and you look at Wolves' midfield, and it's like, yeah, I think we should be dominating that midfield. I mean, who have they got? Lemina,
especially as Cunha's out as well.
Yeah, he's
out for them.
Out as well.
Huge player missing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, do I think we'll win on the weekend? I think we'll scrape it. It's not going to be easy. Everyone's saying, yeah, exactly.
It's the same as the last 4 games.
It's the same every game, though, isn't it? I mean, look, you score a couple of goals, and then it's like, right, can we keep a clean sheet? Can we keep it tight? No, this is Tottenham Hotspur. So, look, it is what it is. Let's stay positive. Hopefully, we'll get the result that we're looking for.
Yeah, I think we'll win, guys. I do feel like I'd love to see just one game. I hope it's this one where you go 2-0 up and you're not scrapping around for the last 5 minutes with attack after attack against our goal, and we're not relying on Ange giving them a bollocking at half time, so we get a 15-minute reaction after the half. Moving on, and the last thing I wanted to talk about for the last 10 minutes or so was, and I'll start with you, Lee. Son is back now. Obviously, went away to the Asian Cup, didn't have the tournament that they wanted. He's back. He's come off the bench, shown our other wingers how to actually play as a winger. He's going to start this game. What happens to Spurs' front three? And I'm going to open this up to the chat. What three do you want to see? Because you've now got Coglou, Johnson, Richarlison, Son, and Werner. 5 doesn't go into 3. Lee, what are you picking?
So, as much as I don't think Richarlison is what we need going forward,
oh, here we go.
You got to praise him to say that he has been putting the goals in. And I think his goal against Everton that he was a cracking goal. It wasn't a tap in. It was a really, really good, well taken goal.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, good finish.
Really good. I think based on the way that Werner is playing, I don't think that you could drop Richarlison and put Son back up front. I think you put Son on the wing as a better feeder to him. So I think our front three will be Son, Richarlison, and I'm on the fence about Coglou and Johnson. Because as much as we're maybe saying Johnson isn't it, Kulu's probably one of the most frustrating players that we have playing in our club. And the reason I say this is because it's exactly the same as Timo Werner, right? When I moan and say that he doesn't take his man off enough, he doesn't use his pace, I still think Kulu, on his day when he's got a player in front of him, is one of the most talented players of getting to the byline to cross a ball back. But he does that with on his right foot. We saw that in last year. We saw it the first couple of games. When he just pops that ball past the player and he uses his strength and his body to maneuver around him and then get in. There's no one else like that. Obviously, apart from some of the players that sit and stuff like that. He's fantastic of it. But for some reason, he's just stopped doing it. Every single decision he makes is cut back in on the left, cut back in on the left, when he's more effective doing that. So if that Kulu turns up, it's Kulu for me on the right, and then maybe bring Johnson in the second half as a sub.
Right.
But for me, I'm going to say for me, Kulu. So Kulu, Son, and Richarlison as the front three.
Stel, I mean, it's funny because every comment in the chat is very different as to what people want to see. Some people are saying Sonny right. Some people are saying Sonny up top, Sonny left. What are you doing for this one, Stel, if you were the manager?
Richie's the most informed striker in the league, so to drop him is stupid. As much as I don't think he's the answer for Spurs, you've got to start him up front. And if he doesn't perform, you pull him off. Yeah. So Richie up front, Sonny 100% left because he's the best player we've got in the front three. And then I agree with Lee. I'd start Kulu out wide on the right. I think he's better than Timo, and I think he's better than Brennan, and he's better than Brian Gill. So yeah, that's my front three: Kulu, Richie, and Son.
Kulu and Son. Haas, are you making it a full house?
Look, Richarlison for me, he's not the greatest, but he's a man in form at the moment, so we've got to use that. We've got to use his good form. Son for me is 100% a starter. Look, you've got to go with Kulu. It's the tried and tested formula that works better than the other combinations for me. Johnson, I'm not going to say it's been a car crash, but he should be doing more.
You can say it
again. Look, I will say it because. Look,
here we go. Look, I'm not going to say it. No, I will say it. I will.
No, because I know what people will say. The first thing people say, right? He's young. Okay.
So negative.
He's young, but someone's got to be negative. But look, this guy's playing for the Wales national team. He's played in the Premier League for a few seasons now. I just think he's really limited as a winger. Honestly, I do. And Kulu frustrates the life out of me. How many streams myself and Savva have been on, and straight away when one of us says Kulu on the ball, we knew exactly what was going to come next. Cuts the ball back, cuts it onto his left foot, takes a shot on his left foot. No, but look, I think in the last game, Kulusevski, prior to that Johnson goal, I think he had a great 10-15 minutes before that. And if he can continue that going into this next game, it has to be him starting. I just don't think Werner, for me, he does a lot of running around. He does a lot of pressing. He's really quick, but Son just gives you that extra something where he can find the net. He's got that magic. So yeah, for me, Son, Richie, and Kulu, and I'm making it a full house. Actually, you can make it a full house, Sav. So
yeah, I'll be honest. Other than Son, I don't care. I think everyone knows what I think. I don't care who plays after Son. I think they're all much of a muchness. I don't look at any of them and go, yeah, I love watching you play. If I'm honest, I think Werner is all pace, but I mean, still, I think we may have had this conversation. So I'm not sure, but Werner, for me, people talk about pace. I think that sometimes people talk about pace without actually understanding pace. There is pace with a ball and there is pace without a ball. There's a huge difference, right? You look at Arjen Robben, Gareth Bale, Frank Ribery, Eden Hazard. These players were pace with the ball at their feet. Ryan Giggs, probably the best example of it, right? With the ball. Mark Overmars, Ginola. Werner is pace without the ball. Johnson is pace without the ball. They're not pacey and scaring the crap out of fullbacks when they get one-on-one. So for me, I don't really care who plays there. Coglou, for me, has got to be... I don't know where I sit with him. I still don't know to this day where I sit with him. A very good technical footballer, but just so frustrating. I find that he really, really frustrates me in everything that he does. I used to work with a guy that when he was coaching, always used to say, if you're a winger and there's grass, run into it. Like if you've got grass and you've got the ball, run into it. And you've heard me say this, Has, on watch-alongs we've done. And I'm like, Kulu's got 30 yards of green to run into. Run. And he does 10 yards and then goes, no, stop, pull it. And I'm like, so I don't really care. Son, I'll complete the full house. Son, Richie, and Kulusevski. But guys, doesn't that show what we needed this summer? Doesn't that show when all these people earlier on, by the way, that were saying Werner should be signed? No one's picked him in their 11 above Kulu or...
It's crazy. It's absolutely
Kulu
crazy.
or Richarlison.
Yeah. I mean, guys, is there a case for...
That's mad, right?
Absolutely. But for me, what I would do, I'm not by no means coached or managed. You guys have, obviously. But, you know, if you look at... We're talking about pace, Johnson, Werner. You know, surely you'd start with Richie, Son, Kulu, and second half bring on that pace when the opposition defense is tiring. You know,
absolutely.
We saw what happened with Johnson. You know, when we brought him on in the last game, and it was tired legs in the opposition. He ran to the back post and slotted the ball in. It wasn't something that was particularly difficult to do, but it was just the fact that he was fresher. You know, he had the pace and he got on the end of it. So I think it makes more sense for them to come on as impact subs rather than starting them. So 100%, I've got no doubt that what the three that we picked will be starting this weekend. And hopefully we can utilize the pace later on in the game. For me, that just makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one of the things they're talking about, guys, in the chat, a few people have mentioned it now, and I think it is really, really important, is when Johnson starts, Porro doesn't get any protection, right? So if Porro doesn't start, and again, we don't know at the moment if he's definitely not playing, if Porro doesn't start, and you've got Emerson Royale there, you can't then have a right side of Johnson and Royale, can you? I mean, that would be really weak, wouldn't it?
You're going to get what happened against Man United, where the same pass over the top on Emerson Royale's side, and they get in and they got 2 goals.
Yeah,
so the same thing happened against Brentford, first game of the season. This is that. Good managers will suss that out and target it. And if you see Emerson Royale start on that right side, that's where they'll play the long ball over the top to get in behind us, or they'll try and play between the lines there. I wanted to ask you guys a question actually about the front three. I know I'm coached, I'm supposed to know this, but I still haven't figured it out. When you play with the front three, I think of Liverpool as having the best front three I've seen under Klopp when they won the league. That front three, the way they pressed and the way they shut you down.
Salah, Mane, Firmino.
Yeah.
Firmino.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Salah, Mane, Firmino. Yeah.
Right. For me, that's one of the best front threes I've seen play. And the person who's left and right of the front three, I don't look at them as wingers. They don't seem like wingers. I felt that the wing play came from Trent and Robertson. They played like wingers. So, you know, when we as Spurs fans, criticize our players like for crossing, is that what we're supposed to be getting from them? Because I think they should be scoring more goals. When I look at Timo and Brennan, I'm looking for goals, not crosses. Although crossing is part of it, because you will go wide naturally and lay it off. But what do you think
you're bang on
from wide players in a free at front?
Do you know what? Can I just say, I was talking to my mate today who was actually at my house. That sounds like a brag, doesn't it? I had a mate around my house who's a Liverpool fan, and I know every now and then, I know. And he's a Liverpool fan, and we were actually talking about that dynamic with what Bobby Firmino actually allowed the 2 wide men to do. And it's exactly as you said, Stel. It allowed the 2 wide men to actually play inside, letting Bobby Firmino just thread balls through to them, whilst letting Alexander-Arnold and Robertson actually be the people that went on the outside. For me, still, I don't think ours do either very well. That's the thing. If they were cutting in,
they don't.
This is the thing. It feels like we've kind of got a hybrid of two wingers that whoever plays there that don't really want to be forwards or wingers, and it just feels like it's almost like Son and two others. So I'll let Lee go, but that's how I feel about it.
They've got
so
pace.
Think of it like this.
Pace, yeah.
You got a front three like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in front of that defence, and you've got three avenues there for the likes of Maddison to pass that ball through, right? You've got three options, not one.
Yeah.
The problem with the way that we play at the moment with Johnson and Brennan is that you've got your striker, you've got these guys out on the wing, which leaves these massive gaps, which is really easy to defend against because the balls have to be either diagonal or you've only got one target person at the front. That's the difference where Liverpool used to play, is that they had an interchangeable three, right? They were all across that 18-yard box.
You're right. Yeah.
And you never knew where they were. And that was absolutely a nightmare for defences to defend against. And they're threading the balls through, blah, blah, blah. What we're seeing, or what's happening right now, and this comes into the point of as to why we get caught out on a high line as well. The wingers, we call them wingers because that's what they are in terms of their play. Whether they should be playing like that is up to that, but they're wingers. Yeah. What's happening is Porro and Moro Udoji, because you could see him do this every time, they're filling in those gaps between the striker and the wingers. And that's what leaves us so exposed, because what should happen is the way that Ange's system works is that everyone's got a position, but your position is not your position unless you're in that position, right? And the reason I say that is if Udoji goes up, then someone should be intelligent enough to go, right, he's up there, I need to drop into his position to cover it, right?
Yeah.
And then you let them do what they do at the front, and then you've got cover. And that's not what happens. Is our guys just seem to stay so wide all the time that we're not utilising those spaces, and we're having to using our fullbacks to utilise them. When really what should happen, and I don't know whether this is by plan, the way the Ange does it, is the front three should be the front three. They should be within, almost the length of the 6-yard box if you bring it out to the 18-yard box. Right? That's where you should be playing, and the fullbacks, when available, when can, should be the wingers. They overlap, and that's where the passes go through. But they're doing it completely differently. The wingers are staying out wide, and our fullbacks are coming into those spaces. Yeah. Whether that's by design, I don't know. But the wingers aren't being effective out there.
It feels very much like that is designed, because I was just about to say, before you mentioned that, I was about to say, half the problem is whenever I see teams that have wingers that come inside, it's because they've got fullbacks that overlap, right? Where it's so like that's what Liverpool did, right? We don't play, and it is by design. Postecoglou doesn't do that. But if you're going to do that, I agree with Stel. If you are not doing one of the things as a winger, if you are not getting to the byline and crossing a ball, or you're not beating your man and whipping balls across, then you need to be driving towards the goal, cutting in and firing off shots. Ours don't tend to do either. But what happens is you get I'll come to it in one sec. What happens is someone like Brennan Johnson won't do anything in a game. He'll get a tap in, because he still had the pace as he's a fresh sub to get to that ball at the end, and people go, there you go, Johnson's good. And whoa, hang on. But what about gameplay, what you do in the actual game? So, Lee, great point there about the tactics of what we do. But Haz, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I was just going to answer Stel, really. For me, I think wingers should be versatile. For me, a winger should be a player that can take his man on, that can cross the ball, but that can also get on the end of a cross or whatever, that can score goals as well. And the prime examples I can give you, obviously, and the obvious ones you mentioned earlier on, Ryan Giggs, Ian Robben were great examples. If you look at modern day,
they played 4-5-1s and 4-4-2s, which is why I'm asking. With three up front, do we actually play?
But they were wingers though. We're calling the three up front, the two either side. We're calling them wingers, right? That's what.
But is that right? Yeah, my question is that correct for us to do that?
Well,
that's what. Because I'm confused with it. If I'm honest,
because every time Son goes on the left, it's like, oh, Son's playing on the wing. Okay,
yeah, I know. That's what we say. Yeah, you're right. That's what we say.
We always say that. So for me, if that is the case, you have to be versatile. You look at Luis Diaz, they play a front three, but he can run it down the byline. He can take his man on. He can cross the ball. He can shoot.
Yeah, but Trent and Robertson don't go into the number 10 role. Whereas a Dogi, you see
No,
him in
they
the number
don't. They
10
stay
role.
wide. Yeah, exactly. It's strange. It's not a like for like sort of in terms of tactics, with Liverpool. But yeah, you'd have to think.
I think we've had it close. The closest Tottenham have ever had it is in the Poch days when we had Kane,
Walker Rose,
Son,
Rose,
Ali,
Ali,
and Ericsson. Right?
Yeah,
you looked, as far as we're concerned, we have three up front that were being fed by Ericsson, and that's exactly what we should have now. But we don't. We have two wingers and a front man. And Maddison's only option, because Maddison is great, is feeding those balls through. And I think he's more effective when he does that when Son's up top than Richie. That's my opinion. But when we're playing with these two wide players, it's easy to defend because the defenders know, well, it's only ever going to go into Son's feet, right? If you bring those wingers inwards, you've got three options then. You don't know where it's going to go. Any one of them could be, go down a channel and just make that ball. And that's the point. And then use the wingers. So I'm sure that Postecoglou's system when he was at Celtic was a 4-3-3. Exactly that. You had three front guys that could go out wide if they wanted to, but they played a little bit narrower because then you've got more compact, whereas we seem to be playing them right out and then we're filling in the gaps with the fullbacks, and then that's where we're getting caught out. That's why this high line doesn't work.
Lee. You're right, because quite often what we see is Kulusevski and Porro on the right combining to cross the ball in, whereas you could have one sort of getting on the end of the ball, as in Porro, get Kulu into the box as well. You overcrowd that box, you've got more chance of someone getting on the end of that box, end of that ball. How many times have we crossed the ball in and there's been no one there apart from Richarlison or the lone player? If we're overloading the box when we attack, yes, you're going to leave yourself a bit open, but we've been playing open football anyway, so you might as well just go for it if that's the way that we're going to play. Am I right? Or I don't know,
I think one thing it does tell us, guys, is we need a couple of better forwards to play alongside Son, don't we? I mean, if we're going to be brutally honest, if you want to, I'm not saying this season. I think people always get confused when I say I'm talking about in the future. If you want to compete with Liverpool, with City, and I don't mean for half a year, I don't mean in a one-off game, I don't mean, we finished second or third one year. If you want to compete with those teams year in, year out, for me, we've got to have more quality up front. I don't mean a purple patch from Richie. I don't mean, Johnson scored a couple of tap-ins. I mean, you've got to have players that scare the crap out of other teams. Liverpool have got loads of them. Yeah, City have got loads of them. We've got some. Yes, Richarlison's in a purple patch, but he's not going to get the ball 30 yards out, dribble past a couple of players and scare them that way, is he? So, for me, I just think it shows we need to do a lot in those areas. Guys, I'm going to get a prediction before we end the show. Tottenham, Wolves, White Hart Lane, I will always call it that. Sorry, not sorry. White Hart Lane, 3 o'clock kickoff. Lee, let me start with you. What's the score going to be?
I think there'll be goals in this game. But I think it'll be another close, something like 2-1 or something like that. I think we can win it, but I don't think it'll be I'll be doing Wolves an injustice as I said it was going to be a 3-1 or a 4-1 because I think they're better than that. So I think it'll be a 2-1 Spurs win. 2-1
Spurs. Has 2-1 Spurs. Are you raising that? Are you lowering it? Are you sticking with it?
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go for a 2-2.
Oh, this negative tag is going to stick with you. You've changed your channel name and you've become all negative. What's going on?
I come on tonight, obviously, just to take the heat off you, Savva, so it's all good.
Listen, it don't matter what happens. I'm going to get heat. Don't worry
if you keep going on like that, mate, you need to take those ticks off those shoes and put, minus signs or something like that.
Never, mate, never.
All right, so 2-2. So 2-1 Spurs. Haas is going with 2-2. Stel, which way are you leaning?
So I predicted a draw against Brighton, and I was 30 seconds away from being right. So
can I just say, Stel?
Predicting a draw. There's nothing.
Can I just say, Stel? Just before we give you a prediction, someone came to my calf last week. Charlton youth player come in. He's an Arsenal supporter. And I said to him straight away, Arsenal are going to win 6-0 against West Ham. I swear to you on my life, I said 6-0. So, listen, if I'm predicting those sort of score lines, just saying.
There you go. We should have put better.
By the way, before Stel answers, Ronnie, I don't think anyone's mentioned Spurs being rubbish at all. I don't know what you've heard. Very, very weird comment. But as you were, Stel.
Yeah, Spurs have only lost 2 games less than Liverpool as well. So I think it's going to be like the Man United game at Wolves, where United went 1-0 up. Then it went 3-1 United. Then it went 3-3 Wolves. And then the last minute, Man United won. I think it's going to be exactly like that.
Yeah.
The Wild West, helter-skelter, a winner in the last 5 minutes. I'm going to go 3-2 Spurs, but it's going to be another just Wild West shootout. Another one.
Yeah, I think it'll be 2-1 Spurs. I'd love to sit here and be confident enough, guys, to say I think it'll be 3 or 4-1. I'm hoping it is, but I just feel like we give away so many opportunities. I mean, even in that first half before Brighton scored the penalty, I don't know if anyone remembers, Vicario made a couple of really good saves because we switch off. We switch off. And
the 2-1 win against Brighton last week. Let's not forget that. We was drawing until the last second. So, these teams, I put Brighton, Wolves, all these teams in the same category.
We were clinging on against Brentford. They're 15th in the league. We're clinging on.
They like to play football, these teams. So, look, it's not me being negative, guys. It's not any of us being negative, really. But I just feel like, Wolves will come.
We all predicted wins. Don't drag us into your negative energy. We predicted wins.
I'm talking about previously.
The previous negativity. Do you know what? I was called negative when I predicted Wolves to beat us 2-1, and they did. I was called negative when I said Man City would beat us by the odd goal. I was negative when I said that we'd draw 2-2 at Arsenal. I could say we're going to win 8-0, and it's negative. Yeah. Listen, guys, girls, everyone in the chat, thank you so much. Really enjoyed the show tonight. Some really good conversations. No one shouting, no one arguing. Lee's gone with 2-1. Hass has gone with 2-2. I've gone with 2-1. Stel went with, I don't know what Stel went with, just loads of goals.
3-2 Spurs.
3-2 Spurs. Liam has gone with a Pedro Neto masterclass incoming. You just know he's going to run right at our back. Lee, thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully you'll join us again next week for Spurs Unleashed. And we might have Will, we might have Iggy, and we'll have another game to talk about. But thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
No worries. Anytime.
Thank you. Haz, thank you for gracing us with your presence now that you're a big-time business owner who makes the best food in South London. Thank you.
Thank you. I haven't seen you in a while, so I'm expecting to see you soon. But, yeah, I do want to apologise for being late on the show today. I was baking a couple of cakes for my calf. So, yeah. No,
it wasn't a metaphor then?
No,
you were actually baking cakes. Sorry, I got that conversation wrong. Yeah,
I'm very intricate. When you're baking, you've got to be really, your timing's got to be sort of spot on. So I thought I can't do it whilst the show is on. So yeah, look, it's been a pleasure. Looking forward to the next one next week. And yeah, Lee, welcome to Unleashed, mate. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stel, thank you very much. By the way, sorry, before we go to Stel, if anyone does live in South London, get to Haz's Cafe. They cook some unbelievable stuff there. And every time I go there, I end up buying loads of different cakes and stuff and getting fattened. But listen, get there. It's really cool. Stel, thanks so much for coming on, mate. And if I'm not wrong, I think we sent everybody redirected over to your channel, haven't we?
Yeah. We've got Thursday night starts now. North London is ours. It's Spurs fans versus Arsenal fans for 2 hours. It does get a bit car crash, but it's entertaining. So yeah,
it's definitely on tonight, Stel.
I think he's on. Yeah,
I love it. I love watching it when Stefan's on it. Guys, girls, big up. Listen? It's the calf. You can pay me some fee for this. The calf is called the Avery. The calf is called the Avery, and it is in SE9. Is it in SE9?
Yeah, so it's called the Avery Deli. If you check us up on Google, it's in SE9 in Avery Hill in Eltham. So anyone in South East London, feel free to come down. If you let me know.
Nowhere near where I live, by the way. It's nowhere near where I live. I do not live in SE9.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, my house has.
I will say this. If you come down and mention Savva's show or anyone else's show, I'll give you a free cup of tea or coffee. There you go. Can't say
there you go. Big up, everyone. Listen, come on, you Spurs. Let's hope we win this weekend. And as always, thank you very much for your support. Take care, everyone. See you later. Come on, you Spurs.
Come.